Initial results indicate that voters in Ireland have overwhelmingly approved a constitutional amendment to legalize same-sex marriage. The final tally has not been announced yet, but both the state broadcaster RTE and the country's Justice and Equality Minister have declared a victory for the Yes camp. Anti-gay marriage campaigners have also conceded defeat.
I'm just so proud to be Irish today. It's been a very emotional journey for many people who've been campaigning on this. A huge amount of personal stories have been told in rooms and halls around the country and on the airwaves. I don't think Ireland can ever go back after this. We've made a resounding statement about what we believe in.
Now, around 3.2 million people were eligible to vote, and reports say turnout has been higher than expected, with many overseas Irish returning to cast their ballot. Ireland is the first country in the world to put the issue to a vote, and it's now well on the way to join 19 other countries, including New Zealand and South Africa, where homosexuals can legally marry. The legalization of same-sex marriage is also a significant milestone for the predominantly Catholic nation, which only decriminalized homosexuality in 1993. Divorce was also illegal until as recently as 1995. Abortion, though, remains banned, except in cases where the life of the mother is in danger. Well, for more on this, let's speak to Dr. Theresa Reedy from Ireland's University College Cork. She joins us on the show. Dr. Theresa, great to have you. Well, we've now seen a record number of people coming out to vote yes to same-sex marriage. What's the reason behind this enthusiasm?
Well, opinion polls have been showing very high levels of support for marriage equality now for more than a year. The margin had tightened a little bit in the course of the campaign, but not very substantially. I think people were a little bit surprised at the extent of the turnout for the referendum. It looks like it's maybe 10, 15 points above the average that we have at referendums here in Ireland. But the margin had been predicted by opinion polls for some time. And I think it's important to say as well that a lot of the interpretation and analysis here is really suggesting that this is an example of the Constitution catching up with the lived reality of people's lives.
Right. Ireland, though, remains a Catholic country. Gay marriage, traditionally a no-go area for the church, obviously. And are we seeing then Ireland revolting against religious teachings and tradition, what you've just mentioned, catching up in that sense?
Well, I mean, Ireland has become a far more liberal place in the last 25 to 30 years. The institutional Catholic Church has seen its once dominant role in society really greatly diminished, in large part because of the child sex abuse scandals that date back really to the foundation of the state. The Catholic Church handled those very, very badly, and as a consequence, it has seen its role, or it's seen its position kind of diminish in public debates on these kinds of issues. I think it's also important to say that the society has changed. It has become a much more diverse and pluralistic place, and probably has more in common with many of its West European neighbours than it would have had in the 1950s and the 1960s.
Right, very interesting there. Of course, abortion remains still an open question. It's the only one in Europe, apart from Poland and Malta, to outlaw abortion, except when the life of the mother is in danger. Do you see that changing anytime soon?
Yeah, abortion is still a very controversial topic here in Ireland, but I think it's probably important to note as well that on two separate instances, the governments have in 1992 and again in 2002, governments put proposals forward to try and actually make the abortion regime more restrictive, even though it is extremely restrictive as it stands. And in both instances, those attempts actually failed. Opinion on abortion, it's still quite controversial, but it has certainly evolved and moved quite a bit, and people have a much more nuanced position. So at this point, it probably requires somewhat brave government to actually begin to look at that issue and to put forward a more liberal proposal. That is, not a proposal perhaps that would move us fully in line with other European countries on this issue, but certainly move us away from the traditional, very restrictive practices of the past.
Right. Well, thanks for your analysis on that, Dr. Reedy. Dr. Theresa Reedy there from Ireland's University College Cork on the overwhelming vote to legalise same-sex marriage in Ireland.